Hello guys, welcome to Thursday Banter Blitz. Thursday. So actually this term is something new to me, but ShellingFord used it on chat already. So let's see, really, it's a Thursday or something else. So I have a strange feeling that everybody will beat me today because it was a hard day. I'm really held tired and probably I will blunder a lot. But who knows, because you never know, right? So let's go and see what do we have in the sense of challenges. I think this time it is a bit better than last time because it's not rescheduled. It's everything according to schedule. So let's have a look. So my first sparring partner was, as usual, Casper. But we have much better choices here. So ShellingFord, Xakas, Alan Thomason, atchess, Superbohemio, Graf.von.Pahlen. Again, not so many challengers, but we do have somebody here. So let's start with Graf.von.Pahlen. In just a second, I will accept the challenge. Let me check if you see the board. Yeah, you see the board. That's great. And I'm starting with the e4. As usual, just let me know if the stream is fine. On my end, everything looks good. On your end, it may be different. So just let me know. So classic Sicilian. There are many good continuations, including bishop g5, bishop c4, just f3. Xakas asks if he can play after. Okay, let's do it. Let's try f3. I have a feeling that I've never ever tried this during Banter Blitz sessions. I mean, exactly in this position, of course. e5, all right. Knight goes away. I don't remember this theory. I just don't remember it. Obviously, it is about playing something like queen d2, then either castling or rook to d1, controlling the d file. But we'll see. So it's really like Najdorf. The exception is that a6 was not played and the knight is on c6, which is not very typical thing for Najdorf. Okay, d5 is one of possible continuations here. Now it's about to be equal. But after this exchange, I think I will have sort of initiative. So first castling, attacking the bishop. So normally white has a slight edge in this type of endings, because 3 pawns against 2 on the queen side are usually better than 4 against 3 in the sense of potentially creating a passer and so on. Bishop e6, well, I'm not sure it is a good choice. So I have knight c5 now. I think knight c5 is very strong, attacking the bishop. And if bishop will go back to c8, I'll be just happy. And if bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop after that, white already has pair of bishops, which is also very nice. Bishop a2, I just played b3, I suppose. So Mick Thal says, we are all waiting for the game against Shelling. By the way, did you challenge Mick? Because I'm personally waiting for a game against you. Because I have a feeling we have not played for ages. It's time to get back to good old tradition. So now it's interesting. Should I play king to b1, or maybe it's better for me to do something else like bishop b5. Bishop b5 looks also very, very tempting. Bishop b5. Or maybe rook d6 first even. No, I guess bishop b5 should be the right move here. Just trying to complete a development. Activate all the pieces. And only then to see what to do. First of all, if rook goes to c8, I have interesting possibility of just taking on a7. That's nice. But most likely black will do something else. Rook c8 is not forced, of course. Talil says, I can't wait for Tal versus Ostrovskiy. Fuchsia, wow. Maybe I was blind during, last episodes, but I cannot remember you being around. And I'm really happy you joined this time. Okay, bishop c6, bc6, then rook to d6. Or maybe rook d6 right now, followed by rook to d1. This also looks very interesting. Let's try this. I don't want to give up my bishop so early. After rook d6, by the way, I have an interesting idea of sacrificing the exchange. So rook takes e6, king e6, bishop c4 check. Forces the king somewhere. It will be even stronger if my rook is already on d1 so that I control d7, which means after rook e6, king e6, bishop c4 will force the king to f5 where I can continue attacking it. Okay, knight to e7 is slightly passive, but still okay. Alright, so we are very close to something. So rook e6 now. Does it work? King e6, bishop c4 check, and then bishop takes e7. This looks interesting. Do we have a checkmate if king takes? So bishop d7 check. No, king goes back to f7, so alright. Okay, it's a good exchange, I suppose. Good exchange for white. Now let's say bishop goes here. Creating a threat of a discovered check. And black resigns. Well, probably it's not that surprising because I don't see a good defense after bishop c4. So king has to go away somewhere. If king goes to g6, I just take the knight. If king goes to f8, I have an overwhelming position after something like rook d7. It's strategically lost for black for sure. Well, still some fight probably, but not that long. If king goes to e8, it's also quite awful for black. There is probably no direct punishment, or maybe there is some like f4, let's say, looks very strong. So black cannot really take because of this, at least. And if black cannot take, then I will take on e5. Bishop e6, mouse sleep, says Graf. Wow, that's interesting. So let's have a look at this position. Yeah, definitely bishop e6 is not good. So castling was with the move, I suppose. Where after white should be... Maybe white is not even slightly better here. Maybe it's just equal. I'm not sure that castling was the right move here, because the king has to be in the center. Maybe rook to d1 is stronger in tendency for at the right moment. As I said, I don't remember this theory here, so there is definitely something like this. So this line exists, and okay, after castling, the things should be all right for black, I think. Okay. Anyway, thank you for the game. Thank you for the game. So Mick Thal says that he has challenged. I will accept. So after Mick Thal, there will be Xakas. I promised, but somehow changed my mind. So Xakas is the next for sure. Knight f3. Let's play d6 against Mick. So I'm going to give Mr. Thal an opportunity to attack me. Oh, h3. It's not in the style of Thal. But let's see. I'm curious if I can play f5 here. It's probably too much. White will play something like e takes f5, then maybe d4. But let's try it. I mean, I'm so tempted to do that. So White didn't play anything aggressive in the center. I'm just trying to grab the initiative. Okay, this is amazing. I mean, knight goes to f6 now. Probably there will be some like knight g5 now, and I will regret, but no. White doesn't do that. So what about playing just f4, grabbing more space? Have no idea. Maybe h6, covering g5 square. Or maybe just knight to a5. Knight to a5 deserves serious attention because I'm not sure that White will have a good opportunity to save the bishop on the board. Okay, bishop b5, c6, bishop a4 is possible. On the other hand, in this case, I'm just solving the problem of this long diagonal. So let's try it. If queen a4, I have c6. So my knight on a5 will be protected anyway. And yeah, here after b5, yeah, I know that there will be a very annoying threat of just playing b4 and my knight will be bad. But at least I can castle now. So there is no bishop on that diagonal anymore. d4. Is it really good? Because I can take on e4 now. Let's take it. I suppose it's just a big blunder, right? It's a big, 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 big blunder. All right. Let's protect the knight in the center. Moreover, it is an extra knight. Very pleasant guy. I'll take. And knight to c4. And knight takes d2. So normal rules are no longer applied to this position because I have extra material. Now let's take there. I mean, normally I would not probably capture that bishop. I would not probably capture that knight on d2 to start with, but since I have extra minor piece, why not to simplify a position a bit? So a big blunder, d4. Most likely knight to g5 was very interesting, right after my knight f6 move. Right after my knight f6 move. Okay, bishop e6, just blockading e5. After knight d4, I'll play queen d7, protecting everything. Then gradually c5. Okay, White doesn't want to play knight d4, so I'll play c5 myself right now. Controlling d4. Now takes. And then d4. Protected passer. c4 is hanging, by the way. Position is getting better and better for black move after move. So queen b6 looks very consistent. So I'm trying to simplify a position because it's just great for me. And here is my weakness to attack on b3. Maybe I will not do that for a long time. What about just playing a4? Now let's go a4. Okay. That is something that I missed. But fortunately, I have this move. Okay, so we're getting closer to the end. Position is being more and more simplified. Which means white has fewer and fewer chances. Makes sense. Oh, I'm a piss down. Didn't see that. Really? I've captured that guy, actually, after you captured on e4. Yeah, I was curious. I was just curious, why would you actually keep on playing here? Now I understand. You just didn't notice you missed... You lost a piece after f takes e4. It happened here, basically. The bishop e4, knight e4. Black was already winning here. Okay. So, as I said, after my knight f6, I suppose there was an interesting possibility of playing knight to g5, just creating a sort of knight to f7. I'm not sure I have a defense. Obviously, I have d5, but after e d5 and knight e5, this position looks so weakened. I'm not sure it's a good situation for black. So white has so many interests in attacking possibilities, including, say, queen to f3 move, just attacking the knight. There are also some ideas like playing knight to e4. Maybe it doesn't work right now, but let's say if my king is already on g8, then knight e4 is possible. Maybe it's not lost for black, I'm not sure, but there was definitely something really interesting for white. 100% it was the most interesting continuation. Or maybe something like e takes f5, bishop takes f5, and then d4. But this is less appealing, I guess. Moreover, after e takes f5, I have intermediate d5 move with great pawn center. And then if bishop b5, I can probably just castling or bishop d6 in either case with some sort of initiative. So, I guess, yeah, something like knight g5 deserves serious attention. After f5 immediately, I think there was a good option of just taking on f5. And if I play e4, I can probably just go to h2 for now. And then undermining the central pawn somehow. With a d3, I'm not that great developed here, so white will definitely have some good chances later. All right. So now I promised to play against Xakas. I don't see his challenge. I don't see his challenge. So it somehow disappeared. Maybe he lost connection or something, but I don't see his challenge. So, Xakas, if you will create a new one, I will accept it, okay? So, for now, let's play against atchess. And after that, we are going to play one by one. So, black pieces. So far, my play was not very bad. I expected something really terrible, but okay. Andrey, why don't you play at Isle of Man this year? What do you mean this year? I've never ever played there. Of course, it's one of the tournaments that should be on one's list of desires. And yeah, at some point I will definitely play there. But not this year. I have no money, actually, to get there. That's simple and honest. d4. Okay, queen to c7. So we're playing in a spirit of Chigorian defense. Enclosed through Lopez. So now I can go back to c6. I can also try some like bishop g4. So bishop g4 looks tempting because I exert some direct pressure on white's center. Main object of attack is of course d4. I pin the knight. I sort of complete development. Okay. So now, after b3, my knight will be very bad. So usually when white plays something like d5 here, the typical reaction is knight to c4. But having the bishop on g5, I'm curious if I can take on d5. So knight takes d5. If bishop takes bishop, I take with the knight. And if e d5, then I take the bishop. Since the knight is pinned, I will win some material. Maybe I'm blundering something, but it looks very tempting to try. I'm not sure that bishop g5 was even needed. So capturing. Right. Looks safe. It's like extra pawn. Of course, I'm forced to take here. And now I have extra material, which is nice. Just a normal Spanish position with the extra pawn. Okay. It's time to improve the knight. Slightly. So after b3, I will come back to b6, and then through d7, I can basically get to normal place. Queen to g4. Right, my bishop is hanging. Where to put it? I think h6 will be not that terrible position. Knight on c4 is protected, so why on h6? Because I want to control both d2, stopping white from easy development of the knight b1, and also control f4, because white is gonna play f4 at some point, I think. Alright, a4 means that my rook on a8 is not protected, so a b5 is a threat. Can I just castle here? So let's check castling. Queen goes to f5, just g6, the same as after queen e4. So I have to be careful about this diagonal. But for now, it looks I'm controlling this situation, so a b5 takes, yeah, everything is under control, so let's castle. Kramnik played a great game against Elami. It had two connected passed pawns, D and E pawn. They were monsters. I think I know how to say connected passed pawns auf Deutsch. I've learned this from one of my students. Fuchsia says, I also play better with two connected passers. Who doesn't? Two connected passers is something amazing. Yeah, verbundene freie Bauern. Yeah, that's right. There was a hint from Mick. But believe me, I knew that. Maybe my pronunciation is awful, but I definitely knew that. So knight goes to a3. To take it with the rook, and then to take on d5, sacrificing the exchange. But having two pawns, potentially two connected, Freibauern, dunno. If I take on d5, there is always queen e4, but I have knight f6. I would be happy to play some like queen d7, protecting this pawn on b5. Okay, let's try it. Of course, it's not forced. Rook a5 was probably a normal move. Preparing rook to a8, that was probably the strongest. But I've noticed that possibility only after already capturing there. Oh, this is annoying. Okay, if I take queen e4, f5, queen takes d5, I don't have sufficient compensation for sure. What if I just go to h8 here? It's getting very, very dangerous for black. Wonderful free farmers. Why wonderful? Verbundene means connected. C4, that is nice. I don't have time, but now we have this bishop. We got the bishop and some connected pawns. And some of them are actually passed. But 50 seconds on the clock. I'm really like in trouble. Okay, rook b8. It's important to go. Whoa, that was a blunder. Another one. So I started blundering things. It's a very bad sign because it's too early for this. I'm already doing it. It's not possible to capture that pawn. I'm happy that... Oh, rook d7. Shit. That's amazing. Very bad game. Actually had so good position, so great position, and now just spoiled everything. Of course, I have some compensation, most likely. Still, position was great. Now it's like absolutely unclear. And I have no time still. Yeah, that's bad. That's really bad. Oh, g6 was a checkmate. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. Oh my goodness, there was a checkmate. My god. What am I doing? Oh, that's it. Game over, basically. Whew! That was it. Yeah, so bad game. Everything was fine before I started thinking about this connected passers. Mick, it's your fault. So, somewhere here, after knight to a3, black was obviously much better. So rook to a5 was a move, I believe, with the advantage. So rook to a5 followed by rook to a8. The point here is that, well, it doesn't have really good move for now, I think. Oh yeah, maybe b4. I missed this b4. I mean, I thought I could take it, but after c b4, bishop is protected. Okay, I can take on a3. That's the point. Yeah, and I have 2 minor pieces against the rook, so with the advantage for black. And if queen takes b4, I can take on d5 easily. And my rook is protected on a5. So queen e4, knight f6, I'm fine. Bishop h7 again is possible, but then I just go away. And bishop is henning, queen is henning. If queen e4, then knight f6 wins. What else? Knight b5. Okay, just knight b4, knight c7, rook a1, rook a1. Knight c2 at least. No, knight c2 is impossible, so I have to take there. Is there an advantage after knight b5? I think I'm missing something simple. So knight takes b4, knight takes c7. Maybe it's not so simple as I expected. So takes, takes. What's going on? Material is even for now. But I can do this. Rook can go there. Oh, I cannot play knight c2. Come on. Stop doing it. Stop blundering, Andrey. Yeah, so if I take there, then after cb4, white may be even better. Okay, so maybe it's not so simple. It's not so simple. So queen takes b4. Then what? What's the strongest move? Knight takes d5. Okay, maybe king h7 after all. So yeah, in this situation, it's definitely a much better version for me. So the question from atchess, where did I do wrong in the opening? I think bishop g5 is not a good idea. There's nothing to do there on g5. So queen takes d5. Now this looks nice, so I can play even b4 here. Something like queen c5 is also very strong. At least at first glance. So I attack the knight, I attack the queen if takes, takes. Have extra material, bishop against the knight, and knight is quite bad. So yeah, this is something that I should have played. Rook to a5, and if white doesn't play b4, I just play rook to a8 next move with a great position. Rook a3 was stupid, and I was punished for this stupidity. Okay, Superbohemio is the next, except white pieces. Nice. After such a loss, the most important part is to come back to the normal state of mind. Of course, it's just Blitz. It's not really serious, but every loss for a chess player is something really dramatic. Okay, let me remember. No, I don't remember because I don't know this position. So how can I remember, recall something when I don't know the position? Tell me. It looks interesting. So black has doubled pawns. A6. Well, I don't really understand the move. What if I just put my queen on b3, which looks very natural. Okay. Here I wanted to try rook to d1, which looks like, again, very logical follow-up. Queen to e8. What to do in this position? That's an interesting question. So how to handle this doubled pawns? It's probably not a big problem for black right now. How can I activate my pieces, possibly? I don't know yet. But I want to have a possibility of supporting my c5 with the b4. Also want to kind of indirectly control this e7 and maybe even put my queen on a5, exerting pressure on c7. Which will be, by the way, a very nice position for my queen. Knight to h5. Not sure if it creates a threat, so let's put our queen on a5. I anyway wanted to do that. It just somehow feels like the best position for a queen in this situation. So c7 is under attack. Black should play either queen d8 or queen d7. And I suppose that after queen e8, black wanted to bring that queen to the king side mainly. Okay, so black is not going to protect that pawn. That's interesting. And I don't see why shouldn't I take it actually. So let's do it. Just queen c7. Looks like a healthy pawn. Okay, takes here, takes here. If queen f7 now, then I have bishop e3, let's say. Or just rook back to f1, also not that bad. Knight e4 is another possibility to protect that pawn. It feels like a safe position on the king side. So bishop e3, maybe bishop h6 was planned, but then queen a5. So let's bring it here. Looks like a normal development move. And I can also consider some like d6 next move. If I'm not blundering something terrible, feels like a winning position for white. Okay. So bishop g4 attacks nothing for now. It may change rapidly, obviously. So I have to be careful. What if I just play d6? I don't see a reason not to play that move. Bishop h6 was not a move because of queen e5 check. So queen e5, I protect the bishop. If you go back with the bishop, I'm just 2 pawns up. If you go away with the king, then, well, you don't have a threat again. So after bishop e3, I just take with the queen. There is also a possibility to play f4 after I capture on e5. That was the whole point. That's why I played bishop e3, because I was not afraid of bishop h6. Bishop h6 is possible now. But in that case, I think I'm all right after just taking on e7. Again, everything looks just great. Okay, now I'll just play this d7 because this pawn is too great. And I will take on b7. It's over, basically. No attack on the king side. Again, there's connected passers and so forth. What is the strongest move now? Bishop to c8? Is it something that wins material? Bishop to c8, yeah, looks fine. Double attack against 2 rooks. They were protecting each other, and after bishop c8, it's no longer the case. Yeah, lost. Okay, so I have a feeling that knight to e5 is not the right move. I may be wrong. But as far as I remember from my childhood, this knight c6 is sort of provocation. So to force d5, then to undermine it. But maybe knight to a5 was a move. Just like in King's Indian. very similar idea to attack c4, then to play something like c5, and you know, like this knight will be not very active for some time, but it will be attacking this c4 for a long time, and at some point it may become active. Or maybe just knight to b8 back, and then just doing everything to attack d5, like to play c6, e5, and so on. It's very typical for Dutch. Don't know, I may be wrong, maybe knight e5 is okay, but after that, definitely something like immediate e4 maybe deserved attention. Or just, you know, continuing with the development like bishop d7, or maybe f4 followed by bishop f5, but definitely not like a6, queen e8. It's just too slow, in my opinion. But I'm not an opponent expert, so I have no idea. Okay, Alan Thomason is the next. And then Shelling. Shelling beaten me. I guess, taking into account my today's tiredness and the way I play, actually, in general, I think the odds are not mine. Knight f6, f3. Ooh, and I'm very slow. I'm very, very slow this time. But it's okay when you're tired. It's really hard to play fast. This is Zamish, isn't it? It's Zamish-like setup, but it's not King's Indian defense, so I don't think it's really Zamish. But of course, there are so many different openings where white plays Zamish-like moves. So all this c4, d4, e4, f3, it's all from Zamish. This guy was not necessarily very strong. But anyway, he's in the history of chess. And it is absolutely deserved. Because this thing that he invented, actually, and this works just universally for each and every opening where black doesn't actually occupy the center immediately. So, great. What happened? History of chess. What do you mean, Kramnik student? Knight to h5. It's a good move. Well, very typical one to start with. So black is preparing something like knight f4, bishop h4 is also a move in many cases. So first let's bring the bishop here, I think, then knight to e2, and so forth. There was also the question from Mick about the light squared bishop. Yeah, the light squared bishop is a problem. So the light squared bishop usually just, supports the pawns from behind, controls light squares. Because whenever black plays f5, light squared bishop is very important. True, it is quite passive for a long time. But, well, some pieces must defend, right? You cannot only attack when you play a game. Some pieces should play defensive. And it's a great thing when you can actually delegate this to a minor piece. Because when you're doing this with heavy pieces, it's awful. a6, okay. Black is preparing b5. I'm not going to stop that because b5 weakens c6. And potentially it's a great outpost for my knight. So I would rather use it. If black really wants to play b5, let it be. Excuse me. So now what's going on? Let's play a3. I think it's not a bad idea. Want to play b4. Because my b4 doesn't really weaken anything. Knight to c5 attacking b3, but I thought it would be not that dangerous. Now I have a threat of b4 grabbing the space. So to play b4 or not to play b4? That's a great question. If black eventually plays b5, b4 may be a good square from where my knight can actually get to c6. If I play b4, I will never ever have this possibility anymore, but I have more space anyway. Okay, let's first castle and delay this decision. I mean, this b4 will not go away. If say black plays some like f5 now, then b4 will win the pawn, I suppose. Maybe it will not. So what about just taking on f5 immediately? This is also something that winning a material, right? Because if black takes on f5, I just... Okay, now I understand. No, after bishop f5 I will start with the b4, but then bishop takes c2, bc5, and bishop somewhere. It's absolutely unclear. Yeah, I should have played b4 earlier, but black decided not to take, which is great. So now we have extra material and still very strong position. Okay. Let's go to the queen side. So, question from Chronic student about why didn't I play g4, h4? Yeah, you're right, absolutely. So black didn't play g6, so it's much harder to attack there. Sometimes white plays that, of course, but I decided not to play this. After cd5, I have a clear plan of just, long-term pressure on the queen side. If black doesn't play cd5 and position remains closed, then, of course, obviously at some point, white can switch to play on the king side as well as on the queen side. It's actually about positions with extra space. So you just play everywhere. All right, now what about bishop to d3, covering c4? And again, creating a threat of knight b5, knight a4, too many different threats. Oh, somehow I lost my chat. So I have to scroll there. What the hell? Yeah, here. Actual position. Okay, so black is actually saying that, come on, you have no good discovered attack, but I have this knight e4 move. If queen d5, I take the knight with check and take the queen, but after knight e4, there is knight takes c4. Rook c4, knight d2, bishop d2, and then f5 drops. Okay, so let us start with just knight g3, protecting on f5. Protecting f5, sorry. And then knight e4 may become a good move. Knight e4 immediately was not probably the best choice. Queen on h4 is almost trapped, so if I play bishop g5, queen is forced somewhere back to c4, but there is also d4 square. So maybe it's a good idea for me to start with knight e4 here, Now bishop g5 is a real threat, and if takes, then I take with the pawn. Improving my pawn structure. Black is completely limited here. Queen g4. What's the idea? Idea is probably to play h5 or something. Or maybe bishop h4. Attacking e4 pawn or something. So how to deal with this? Rook to c7 is very tempting, but then bishop to h4. What's the right way to play this? Okay, let's play rook to c7 to start with. And after this, I wanted to try this tricky move. Just simplifying the things. Now I should be absolutely winning. No counterplay, extra material, much better pawn structure, so forth. Rook on c7 is especially strong. Okay, after bishop d8, I'll just go back to c3. After bishop d7, say, I'll just put my rook on c1. I'm controlling everything. Well, maybe it's not so simple to win because black is passive, but it's quite solid. But gradually it should be winning, I suppose. So g4, king g2, king f3, just little by little, and so forth. Okay, so there was an interesting moment. I think after this a3, knight c5, and bishop c2, I'm already better. But after queen c7, I should have played b4 immediately. Just attacking the knight, preventing f5, really. Then something like bishop d3, back. And if that goes to b6, something like rook to c1 here. Or maybe even castling, because I'm not really afraid of knight to c4. In this case, I just takes, and rook to c1, now creating a lot of annoying threats like knight a4, followed by knight b6. And queen is not necessarily very well placed here. That's what I mean. Yeah, and if there is no knight c4, then I will just play rook c1 next move. I'm having this advantage in space and so on. Why I'm not very happy with what I did, that after f5 and ef5, there was a possibility to take here. I think there was a possibility, but maybe I'm wrong. So takes. I thought g4 is a simple win, but then I've noticed this knight to b3 move, and I was not sure anymore. But maybe I was wrong, so queen c2 is still very strong. Yeah, I just missed that. So queen c2, and if knight takes here, I'm just capturing on f5. The knight on h5 is hanging. There is check on e6 for me. If black plays something like g6, knight on a1 is hanging as well. Yeah, I'm winning the material here. Yeah, probably it was okay for away. Yeah, so bishop f5, rook f5, g4. Yeah, it's just telling you everything about my current state of mind. I'm just blundering a lot. So g4, yeah, if rook goes away, and what's going on there? I just take the knight. Knight goes to b3. My queen gets to d3. Okay, maybe this is not entirely clear because f3 is hanging. So if I take, rook takes f3, and black definitely has a counterplay. Yeah, that is what was probably not very good for me. And that is why I was not happy with that decision I made. Because I forgot about this knight b3 possibility when I actually gave my opponent a chance to play f5. Yeah, and the problem is that after bishop f5, for example, if I am trying to be smart and play b4 first, obviously now if knight goes away, I just take on f5 and g4, just a much better version if compared to bishop f5 immediately. But here black starts with the bishop c2. And after, say, bc5, bishop simply gets back to g6. And I think having a pair of bishops in a position that is about to be open, black is even better. Well, at least black has no problems anymore. Yeah, interesting. So bishop f5 deserves serious attention because after knight f6, well, position is just lost. Okay. Let us continue. And the next is ShellingFord. I wish I were, Not that tired. I wish I were not that tired. What if I just play c4? That's interesting to me. It's now more like checkers, not chess, but I'm just really curious. I've never played the pawn structure like this. Never, ever. Just interesting to try. Most likely it's incorrect. To do that, I should have captured on d5 first, I suppose. And then c4. Fighting for c4 square. Yeah, it's different now. If I take on e4, then black plays just c5. I mean, it's a question, so both sides have their chances. Maybe knight takes c4. Knight takes e4. Rook takes e4, but then black will be probably just better. With just better pawn structure. Yeah, well. Okay. I mean, I was considering knight to f1, going to d5, but problem is black could have played b3 in that case, separating my pawns. So I decided to start with this. Now black is going to play knight d4, I believe, and then to take with the c pawn, then to put the knight on c5. Very nice idea. What if I'm just going to d5? And being patient, not taking on d4. So what if I'm just playing this move? It's hard to say. Hard to say what's going on here. It's important not to blunder something really stupid. Like after queen d6, not to play knight e3, blundering knight f3 check, and then queen takes d3, winning a queen. For example, there are always chances to blunder something stupid. But if I manage somehow to play knight e3, knight e5, I'll be feeling not that bad. Very strange position. Okay, knight b8 with a clear plan of putting the knight on c6 and then taking on f3 and probably playing knight to d4. But at least knight is away from c5 square, so at some point I will be all right with just taking on d4 several times, which is nice. So now, what about bishop b2? Is it a good idea at all? Or it's not? I don't know. I don't see anything better for now. So let's play it. Intriguing game, says Mick Thal. Maybe. To me, it's like very boring. Okay, what is next? Knight h4 and knight to f5 doesn't give me anything. Taking on d4, okay, cd4, so what? c5, bishop c5, rook to c1, queen to d6. Again, it's nothing. So let's play knight to h4, at least controlling f5. Maybe intending to play f4 at some point, like one day. One day. Maybe next move. What about f4 really? f4 takes f4 simply. And if I play e5, knight e5, there is nothing absolutely. So can I try this? Let's just take it, come on, and do something active. Oh, black is also here, doing his stuff. That's interesting. Position is getting hot. Should I take on f5 or do something else, or maybe just centralize everything, waiting for some time? No, let's bring the rook to d1. I think it cannot be bad to have everything in the center. Maybe it's just too slow. Maybe it's just fine. This is a blunder. Okay, let's put the rook on d2, not to blunder something accidentally. Can I do that? Okay, bishop f5. Let's take it. And another central move, which is actually a blunder. So stupid blunder, come on. Yeah, so what to do here? Just to resign. All right. So Mick said that the game will be decided on the king side. But no, the game was decided by a blunder. It was just an accident. It was technically on the king side. Queen e4. That's right. Come on. What was correct here? There is a possibility, for example, to play knight to e6. Maybe it's wrong. It should be wrong because my pieces are not that coordinated for this sort of activity. But at least looks interesting. Maybe the strongest move here was something like king g2, like you know, covering some light squares around the king that are weakened with the king himself. Rook d to e2 is probably also an idea here. Don't know. Knight to e6 looks interesting. Let's just check it for real quick. So rook to f3 looks strong. Queen to e4 now. Rook is still hanging. What's going on here? So check is not very dangerous, I think. Rook takes b3. I just take on f5. Maybe rook e8 simply. No, rook on f3 then. Drops. Yeah. So rook f8 is not possible. Maybe this way. And then I just take on d4 several times. At least I'm not worse. Yeah, probably knight e6 was interesting. But then what about rook e8 immediately? That is probably the case. That is probably something that makes my position unpleasant. But again, I have this trick, like rook e2. If knight e2, I take the queen. If rook f6, I just take on d4. Who knows? Yeah, rook e2. Interesting position. Again, maybe I'm blundering something. Maybe rook f3 here. But in this case, I have knight d4. That is a strong thing. So if rook takes here, I take on e8. And, well, at least king cannot go to dark squares. So king has to go here. Or after. Maybe I have something, maybe I don't. Say, what if I just take queen takes c6 and king g1? Oh, queen e8. Come on. Yet another blunder. Yeah, it's hard to say. Maybe it's not possible. So rook f3. This position is very hard to evaluate correctly. Maybe queen d1 is still playable. Rook e6, rook e6. If knight e6, then queen d6. I still have this threat of knight takes d4. After knight e2, I still have this queen d6. But of course, it's impossible to understand all this when you have only seconds on the clock. Most likely after f5, I could have played much better than just rook d1. Don't know. Maybe f takes c5 was, after all, the correct idea. So if knight takes, then something like this. Queen to d1, b3 is protected. I want to take on d4. So for example, if f takes c4, most likely I have this takes, queen d4, attacking the rook, then e4 drops, and so forth. So, yeah, after f5, I think f takes c5 is the strongest. So knight takes queen d1, maybe knight goes back simply. But then I have a bunch of interesting ideas, including just d5. And all of a sudden, all my pieces are placed almost ideally, controlling everything. Yeah. F takes c5, of course. Come on. So you have pair of bishops. You have to open up a position. Your opponent gives you such a chance. Why don't you do that? Because you're tired, you're weak, and yeah. And you have no time to make this decision. You have only 1 minute on the clock or something. A lot of reasons. All right, thank you for the game. Anyway, it was a pleasure as usual. Friedel, accept. d4. Bishop g7. h4. Oops, c3. Didn't want to play that. Okay, actually wanted to try c4, but somehow, yeah, happens. All right. Now it's more like Pirts. E6. Okie dokie. This is also playable. Maybe not that exciting, but playable. So look at this. F3, C3, D4, E4. Very nice pawn center. Bishop D7. It's very passive, but Black is probably going to castle long here. And now again, Zemish. Zemish-like position. Slightly better for white. If compared to the previous game I've played with this Zemish-like setup tonight. White's better because Black has already played H5. It will be very hard for him to play F5, not weaken in a position very much. And my knight is on G5. That is also a great thing. So I can basically castle both sides in this situation. Let's try castling short. Knight H6. Okay, let's go B4 C5. Very simple plan. It looks like a normal King's Indian. The difference is that usually when white plays C5 and King's Indian, Black is already in the process of attack on the king side. Here it's different, as you can see. Let's take with the pawn. Because after bishop G5 there was bishop F6, getting rid of that bad bishop, and I'm happy to have that bishop on the board. That bishop on G7, I mean. Now, what's the right move? There are plenty of different ideas, I believe. But I like this one. Just exchanging light squared bishop for Black's light squared bishop, because Black's light squared bishop is quite good. My light squared bishop is not that great. Okay, let's take. Oh, Keen takes. Interesting. All right. So Black's knight is far away from C5, which means I can basically play this move. We can C5, but it doesn't matter. What's important, it actually fixes the pawn on B6 that I'm going to capture very soon. And there is also C6 square, amazing one for my rook. Now, well, it shouldn't be even a question to play rook C6 or not to play rook C6. I have just one question, to play it right now or a bit later, because there is also a good opportunity of playing queen D2, queen F2, attacking B6. Let's try this first. We can play rook C6 at any moment. For example, now. It's the best moment. So if knight takes, I just take and win the rook. So I don't even sacrifice anything. Now you probably understand why I captured on G5 with the pawn. Look at this bishop. G5. Very poor guy. Very, very poor. Knight B6 was also possible. But I think it's better to do this right now. Attacking not only the king, but the rook as well. Rook B6, rook B6. Extra exchange in addition to everything else. Queen A8. Kramnik student asks, does chat hand only during Andrey's shows? Lol. Well, it's an interesting question. I don't have an answer. Maybe it's only my problem. I mean, I'm definitely not influencing the chat and its speed, but it's just my karma, maybe. All right, let's bring the queen somewhere. The audience is just listening to the master. Yeah. So what is about a checkmate on d7? Looks like a good option. Okay, so a lot of space. And I don't think that h5 is the best answer to h4. In fact, h4 is not very dangerous. So I think knight f6 is just a very good move. Followed by castling, d6, knight d7. So normal King's Indian play. Okay, and most likely I will not have a real opportunity to use this pawn, at least in the nearest future. So after h5 I have this g5 square, and it is basically making my position much better. Okay, on m. Is the next. d4, knight f6, knight f3, e6, c4, b6, and g3, c6. I've almost played this bishop a6, which I used to play many years ago, but nowadays, almost exclusively, I play close Catalan against this g3. So it's all well-known stuff. White should be slightly better here if he plays right moves, of course. b3, b5. b4. Yeah. White is playing right moves here. It's very cool. So black is a pawn up, but this pawn means nothing. For now, at least. So it's just, in my opinion, pretty balanced position. Maybe, though, my opponent prepared something in this line. Because all this is actually theory. Not very popular theory, but there are several games played here already. Okay, now let me remember. a5 is something almost automatic. Knight to d7 is still a move. If knight d7, e5, I can play knight to d5, yeah. I think knight d7 is possible. Bishop f6, knight f6. Yeah, I'm not blundering. I hope. So knight e7 with the idea of maybe even playing e5, closing that diagonal for the light squared bishop as well as for the dark squared one. So let's say, what if I play e5 here? Bishop goes to f1. Then my queen goes to c5, I suppose. And then what? Doesn't feel like I'm ready to play this e5 move here. But what is better? Rook 8 to d8 is a move. Rook 8 to c8, protecting c6. Let's try to understand. So a5, a4 is also a possibility. But the bishop f1, my queen doesn't have really a good square. On the other side, okay, if I play a5 and he plays bishop f1, I can just play queen to b7. There is no knight a5 anymore. Okay, let's try it. e5 is coming now. I think right now I have to play e5, but that's too late because my pawn on c6 is already hanging. Wow, white played very well so far. But maybe e5 is not a direct threat, so if I play rook to c8, e5, I can just take it, right? Yeah, probably it's still okay, so let's protect. Let's protect the pawn. Rook to d7 is a threat, yeah. Oh, that's the problem. I have no time. Forgot about this. Oh my goodness, I'm so stupid. What do we have? Increment, right? That is 3 plus 2, so I'm not, completely lost here. I still have some chances. My goodness. What's going on to me? Why am I so... I don't even know the word to describe it. That's why there is a pause. Why am I so slow? Why am I so slow? So my opponent also decided to think a bit, which is good. So we still have some chances here. We still have some chances. Some tiny chances. All right. This simplifies my life, I believe. A bit. Because now I control lots of important squares. Dark squares in the first place. Okay, let's play something at least. So we have 21 seconds. And extra minor piece, right? So we are in a good shape, I suppose. Okay. But we're somewhat passive right now. Okay, that's a queen. After that, it's much easier, I believe. Okay, was an accidental win. At some point, I was really like afraid of my perspectives here. I believe that bishop takes f6 was absolutely unnecessary move, at least right now. White is enjoying very good position, so bishops are great here. Maybe f4 was the strongest move. So just controlling f5 additionally, intending to grab even more space at some point. This looks really in the spirit of this position. So just improving it gradually, because black doesn't really have a counterplay here, so I somehow misplayed it at some point. Yeah, so giving up such a strong bishop for this super passive knight on f6 was definitely something that helped me a lot. Because after that, my queen all of a sudden obtained a lot of dark squares. For now, my queen is very limited, in fact. After you lost that bishop, my queen somehow started feeling very well. By the way, here after queen g4, I had queen f2, but that was already like great time trouble for both opponents, so no surprises. There were lots of blunders from both sides. Yeah, but this position is already not that bad for black. That's what I mean. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the game. Thank you for the game. Thank you for being with me. That was actually my last encounter for this time. But one more important detail. So next week, of course, this question to premiums. Next week, the next training Tuesday, I'm planning to make a Q&A. So what do you think about it? Let me know, because I'm going to make a final decision on, Friday or Saturday. I need some time, of course, to post, some information about this is coming and so forth. You need some time to actually prepare questions and so forth. So if you are into, then let me know. We'll probably do this next week. If you are okay to wait till the episode number 100, that's also completely in order. So I will prepare new material for Training Tuesday, and we will wait till episode number 100. So the best way to notify me is, of course, using private messages here or on Facebook or anywhere on Twitter and so forth. So wish you all the best and see you very soon. Bye-bye.